This is Montgomery Mosaic on 1450 WOL, WPRS, HD2, and worldwide on WOLDCnews.com. Montgomery Mosaic features topics of interest to Montgomery County residents, businesses, and visitors. Here now is your host, Deborah Milo.
Well, good morning, Montgomery County, and welcome to another edition of Montgomery Mosaic. I'm your host, Deborah Milo. I hope everyone is doing well today and enjoying the beautiful fall weather. You know, this is the time of year when we have a lot of wonderful events that take place, and one of those events is the New Americans Expo. And I'm really excited to talk about it on today's show because we're going to actually talk about last year as well as this year. Let me tell you just a little bit about the Expo. The New Americans Expo basically is an informational fair and a celebration welcoming the immigrant communities that make Montgomery County and the Washington region a dynamic place to live. And here to talk about the Expo are Christina Fry, Expo organizer, and Betsy McGuire, who's the volunteer coordinator for the Expo. Christina hasn't yet arrived, and we're waiting for her, so once she gets in, she'll be able to come in and talk to us all about it. However, I do want to welcome Betsy McGuire. She's the volunteer coordinator for the Expo. How you doing, Betsy?
Great. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming. I know that your schedule is probably extremely busy right about now, but I know our listeners are eager to share a bit about the Expo. But before we begin, talk a little bit about how you came to be a part of this really important work.
Well, last year around this time, well, a little earlier than this time last year, I had met Christina through a friend, and I had kind of checked her out, not stalking, but I had checked her out on Facebook. And she was asking to look for someone who could do she was looking for some kind of a moderator person, and I knew a gal who had done it in Peru and stuff. So I called her about it. She couldn't use her because she needed someone to be bilingual. But we got to talking, and we actually met for a brief lunch, and I followed her that whole day.
But not stalking, right?
And not stalking. We were in her car by then. But we got to talking about this idea that she had of doing an exposition where there would be a lot of a focus on culture and exchange of ideas. And also just to have all the different groups get together, the government agencies, the nonprofits, and then the vendors who provide help for the immigration and the immigrant community.
So basically, last year's Expo, I'm using that as kind of like a springboard. Last year's Expo, what are some of the things that you noticed? And talk about the importance of this event to the immigrant community as well.
Well, last year we had a good turnout. We had close to 1,200, 1,500 people go through this. And because we have the government agencies that are there, like Office of Aging, the library, the police department, etc. Then we also have our nonprofit groups that are helping the community, either by providing English classes or services or family services, etc. Also legal services. And then we also have vendors, banks who are now have gotten into the immigration arena because they can now provide you with, you can get a bank account.
That's right.
And so, you know, it's a great deal for that.
Yeah.
And also lawyers and accountants because, immigrants are the largest group that are booming with their businesses. Their businesses. In Montgomery County, over 35% of the people were born outside of the United States.
How many?
35%.
35%. That's amazing.
That's a big group, and so what we did with that was we were able to provide the services that people could go up and talk to someone about them, and also kind of see other people who look like them.
That's right.
And they had their businesses there, so that was a great impact, and we were very, very excited about it. A lot of stir, a lot of people had conversation. We also had different seminars going on. We do this at the Civic Center at the Civic Building in Silver Spring. So upstairs we have rooms where we had different kinds of talks. We had meet and greet politicians.
Oh, nice.
We did also an expose on a couple of other issues about women and work, and women who are also entrepreneurs. So we had a lot of stuff. So that brought a lot of conversation and exchange of ideas. And this year, I expect it to be as good as that. We're having a dual focus this year. We're doing the Muslim community. They're going to have a beautiful exhibit. A fair museum from D.C. is coming in.
I can't wait to see that.
And they're going to do an exhibit. We also have a group called Humanity First, who's a nonprofit Muslim organization who does extensive work in South Africa. In South America, I'm sorry.
South America, okay.
South America. They actually built a school, a hospital, and a mosque in Guatemala.
My goodness, that's amazing. Hello again, listeners. This is the October edition of Montgomery Mosaic on Talk Radio 1450 WOL. I'm your host, Deborah Milo, and today I have the pleasure of talking to two wonderful women who've actually become good close friends, Christina I always pronounce Christina's last name incorrectly, and Betsy McGuire, and we're talking about the upcoming New Americans Expo, so I really hope that you're tuning and listening in very carefully so that you can support this worthwhile event. Now, this year, what's the date and where will the expo be held?
October 23rd, and it's a Sunday, and it's 12 to 6.
Oh, nice. So it's going to be the full part of the day.
Full half the day. People can come in and enjoy it after they leave church, or, they want to come in for an afternoon walk. We have free parking there because downtown parking. Silver Spring is great for that.
Yeah, sure.
And we're going to have food trucks outside. We're going to have tasty treats inside, and then just all sorts of stuff. We're going to have a kids' corner. We're going to have a parade of children also. They're going to do some stuff and be up there. And we're also going to have a great opening ceremony with Isaac Leggett and then some of our embassy members.
Oh, see, now that's going to be, that's, who's going to be the embassy members?
Well, we have the ambassadors from Guatemala. We have also the ambassador from El Salvador, and then we have the consul from Honduras, and also we're going to have an ambassador from Egypt.
Oh, now see, that's going to be amazing. That's one of my favorite countries, by the way.
Beautiful, isn't it?
So I know we talked about some of the activities that are going to be presented, but talk about some of the types of things that the government agencies will be sharing or offering some the immigrant community.
Well, everything from library cards to, we're also going to have the police. We've set up two what we call community corners, where we're going to have a little podium with a little mic, and then about 5 or 6 chairs, where someone can kind of have a little bit more of an intimate conversation,
which is a very important.
Yes, I think that is, and we're going to have like the police is going to talk about safety. How do you safety check your house?
Oh,
things like that.
I need to go to that.
Yeah, cut the shrubs away from your door. That's very important.
Very important. Right.
But that they're going to do so. They have one of those like that. I have also a bank that's going to talk about college and credit. When kids go to college, one of the things they get just bombarded with is all these credit cards when they go to their orientation. So kind of like prepare yourself for that kind of stuff. So these are small little groups that are going to do stuff like this. We're also going to have a EWIN, which is Empowered Women International, is also going to do one on women and 5 things to do before you start a business, 5 checkups.
I'm telling you, this is something, folks, that you really want to make time to come out to, because it's very, very important. So what are some of the countries? Now, I know that we talked about some of the ambassadors that are going to be there, but what are some of the countries of origin that the New Americans actually come from?
Well, let's see.
I know there are a lot.
I know. I mean, we have a variety. I mean, we have one group which is coming in, which is the African Women's Council, which is coming.
The African Women's
Council.
Yes,
they're coming in, and they're actually going to be handling a lot. They're going to be handling the meet and greet our candidates. So it's going to be a really good piece to do. El Salvador, they have a Chamber of Commerce,
nice,
and which is here. It's in U.S., so they help the Salvadorian businesses here.
Right.
And they're going to come in and do a talk also on the different things that you can do to get ready, get started for a business, from licensing to preparing business plans, etc. So we have those guys, and then we have 3, the Guatemalan embassy, and then Salvadorian and Honduran are going to talk about the diaspora of the immigrant, the travel of the immigrant, and how to handle that. We're also going to have youth of color, and the challenges of youth of color is another talk we're going to have, talking about part of it is profiling, and also part about it is empowerment, and how can you get started, and not get ready for a lot of this stuff in a positive way.
Now, let me ask you something. A part of that conversation, that discourse, do you think that a part of that is going to be, you mentioned profiling, so part of that is going to be addressing the issue of profiling?
Well, we're going to have youth there, and we hope and we expect that they'll be talking about that. When you have youth who come to these meetings, they have a purpose.
Yes, they do.
And so they can talk about that, and we're also going to have, I believe we're having the police chief is going to be there also.
Oh, Tom Manger.
Yes. So
good man.
Yes. So we're going to have the ability and the opportunity to kind of address some of this stuff. Montgomery County has been a little easier on a lot of the stuff compared to what's happening nationwide.
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. County friends, this is Montgomery Mosaic on Talk Radio 1450 WOL with your host, Deborah Milo. And I have the privilege of talking to Christina Fry and Betsy McGuire about the New Americans Expo, which will be held on October 23rd. And I'm actually talking to Betsy right now because we're waiting for Christina to arrive, and I can't wait to see her because she's going to have so much information in the second half of the show to share with you. So how did you reach out to the immigrant community leaders to find out what some of the needs were?
Well, part of that is just going to the churches.
Oh, yes.
And also going to their different meetings. We have the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We also go to different areas and we just kind of talk with them about what's going on. For many immigrants who are just coming and arriving to our country, their first connection is their church.
Yep.
And so, we provide, we've gone to, I also am a president of a group called Mi Madre, where we
read about that. I love it.
Where we help our immigrant families to kind of understand and get an idea of what's the educational and political and hospital background, of what's going on, so they can be prepared to understand what services are offered, how are they treated, how can they be, what are their responsibilities, and also what their requirements are.
It's interesting because a lot of people don't understand. When you're coming into this country, it is a completely and totally new experience. And for those of us who don't have the privilege of being foreign-born, we're here already. So what we see, we take for granted from time to time. And new Americans don't have, they don't, because they're just coming and they want as much information as they possibly can get. And they deserve, so that they too want to become the kind of citizens that they want to be. And I get that.
And we provide, it's important to provide, as we used to do years ago, that when you moved into a town, you had the welcome wagon lady.
I remember that.
And she'd bring a big basket with bread and coupons for the different stores, dry cleaning coupons. And we need to do that more. And we need to do that more because of the opportunity that we can help these people so that they're standing on a firmer ground.
I like that.
Talk about the laws and corporal punishment, how you handle that. All that stuff that has to be handled.
And most cultures, corporal punishment was something that's still new to a lot of people that are born in this country. You have different laws, like you said, different rules of order, and things aren't done the way that they used to do or that our parents used to do.
Absolutely.
And it's important to be able to understand how that process works, and I think that that's a critical part of it. County friends, this is Montgomery Mosaic on Talk Radio 1450 WOL, and it's Deb Milo sitting here talking to you today. And I'm having a great chat with Betsy McGuire about the New Americans Expo, which is going to be held on the 23rd of October. And I think you said, Betsy, it's going to be held in Silver Spring at the Civic Center, right?
Yes, right there off of Veterans Plaza.
Okay, then. So that's great information. So let's do this. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to also talk to Christina, because she's got some things that she wants to share with us as well. So I can't wait to continue the conversation. Folks, you're listening to Montgomery Mosaic on Talk Radio 1450 WOL. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk more about the New Americans Expo with Christina Fry and Betsy McGuire. So whatever you do, don't go away. Stay with us.
1450 WOL.
And welcome back to Montgomery Mosaic on 1450 WOL. It's Deborah Milo, your host, and I'm happy to be with you today. And I'm also happy to say that we have Christina Fry here, and I'm so glad to see her. She has been running around trying to get things ready for the upcoming New Americans Expo, which is going to be held on October 23rd in Silver Spring at Veterans Plaza. How you doing, Christina?
Good. Thank you so much for having me at your show. Hello, friends, Montgomery County residents. Thank you so much for having me in the show.
We're glad to have you. So I want to kind of follow up where Betsy and I were talking. We're talking about the expo, and I want to about how many people do you expect this year, and do you think that the numbers will surpass last year's event?
I think so, because we have been doing a stronger advertising and marketing campaign this year. We are publishing a small magazine, printed magazine that has 24,000 copies and will be distributed in the DMV area by the Washington Post Latino paper, the El Tiempo Latino. So if we get just 10% of the people who read that magazine, we're going to have like 2,400 people. And that's not all we are doing. We are doing posters, flyers, we are doing radio interviews, TV interviews. We have 16 posters on metro buses that are running up and down all Montgomery County for a month. So people is going to be well informed about this expo, and we are advertising with the African Mirror, different papers, the Manila Mail, El Pregonero. We're reaching out to the Epoch Times, to a Chinese paper with 50,000 copies around the MV area. So we have a lot of partners that are helping us out. Montgomery County has been great. Mr. O'Haney has helped us distributing information through their Facebook and social media outlets, the radio show, TV shows. I mean, this has been great. It's a community event, and a lot of leaders of our community are involved. We have 6 panels, and all the panelists are spreading the word to the health department, the recreational department. We have great friends. I mean, this is a real community event.
And that's the way it should be. We need that here in Montgomery County. We pride ourselves in having such a beautiful cultural tapestry of diverse communities, but we still need more. We still need more information about to be able to provide to our immigrant communities, to say the least. Now, you mentioned something about the panel discussion. Can you share a bit about that?
Yes, this year, as I'm sure you mentioned, Betsy mentioned here, the expo is dedicated to all the immigrant community, and previous and past and present and future. And especially we are dedicating this expo to the Muslim community and to the Central American communities, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. So we gave them the opportunity to organize panels to showcase their culture, the issues within their own communities. And this is going to be very interesting for us who are non-Muslims, because they are coming with panels about the contributions of the Muslim community.
That's right.
Historically in the U.S. because and the Islamic Museum is coming to do a one-day exhibition about findings and historical facts about Muslims coming to the U.S. in the 1600s, 1700s.
I can't wait to see that. Betsy and I were talking about that earlier.
Yes, that's an amazing thing, and they have proof of that, pictures and documents to prove that. So the Muslim community has been part of the U.S. since the beginnings of the nation. They were part of the building of this great nation. And, we have a lot of scientists, a lot of artists, musicians, jazz musicians.
I love jazz.
I mean, things that we don't know, but
that's right.
And it's going to be. I invite everybody to come and have a look, because also women are very motivated to come, and they are going to do a panel on feminism. I have tons of questions for them, like if they wear shorts at home,
right. I know exactly what you mean.
If they wear makeup at home, or if they do their hair, because I know some of my friends who are Muslims, they have the most beautiful hair I have ever seen.
I know. I have to agree with you there. Listeners, thanks for tuning in to Montgomery Mosaic on Talk Radio 1450 WOL. It's Deborah Milo, and I'm here today talking with two wonderful women, Christina Fry. Is it Frey or Fry? Correct.
Fry.
Fry. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
always interchanging them. And volunteer coordinator Betsy McGuire. And Betsy had a chance to share with us at the first part of the show. And now Christina got here. And where's my Starbucks, by the way? I understand you stopped at Starbucks. Needed your coffee first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I got lost.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry.
So let's steer the conversation in a different direction. Talk about some of the issues that these communities encounter and how those issues are going to be addressed. You were just talking about, for instance, Muslim women, if they wear their hijabs at home. That's a good question.
Yeah. They are coming to talk about feminism, about how their community addresses feminism, and working with them, I'm sure we're going to be surprised about the things we don't know about them, and also we're going to have a panel about the contributions. We have a military Muslim person who's coming to talk about how the military is also composed by Muslim people, and they have defended the country.
That's right.
With
with their lives.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them have given their lives to defend the country.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to know more about them, and I invite again everybody to come and sit at their panels to hear what they have to say. They're very sweet people, and there is always a misunderstanding about the culture because we stereotype everybody.
Yes, we do.
They are very concerned. Muslim moms are very concerned because their kids are being bullied at home.
Yes.
And it's been a terrible time for kids. And just imagine, I am a mom, and those who are moms and are listening to us, and you have kids, just imagine your kid going to school and somebody telling you, oh, if somebody gets in and becomes president, you and your family are going to be deported. And these kids are born here in this country. They are Americans. They have nowhere else to go.
That gives me chills. It really does.
And traumatize you for the rest of your life.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
It makes you believe or feel that you don't belong, and you have nowhere else to go, like an orphan. So we really want to make a statement here that please come. If you don't know any Muslim person, you have to come and check them out. And also the Central American communities, Montgomery County has received hundreds of kids coming from Central America who are running away from violence down there in those countries.
Places like El Salvador, let's see, you're talking about El Salvador and places like that?
Right,
Guatemala.
exactly. So we have a lot of different groups here. We have 75,000 people from Guatemala, and many of those, you know what, they come from the Mayan cultures. They don't even speak Spanish. They speak Mayan.
That's
and they
right.
speak Quiche.
That's right.
And they have their own dances, their own culture. They don't even consider themselves Hispanics. And their children, the magical thing with them is that they are the children of those who built the pyramids in the Mayan pyramids.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And their ancestors were always living in Central America for thousands of years.
Right.
But after they were conquered by the Spanish, there was oppression for 500 years.
That's
and
right.
they have gone anywhere, but they have been oppressed. And finally, they decided to leave and come to the U.S. For the first time in their history, for many thousands of years. They have been in the U.S. for 20 years, more or less, and their children they speak English, they are American, they feel American, they love America.
That's right.
And they speak English and Quiche and Mayan languages.
That is so magnificent to me.
Isn't that amazing? And they don't consider themselves Hispanic. They are Mayan American, right?
Well, you know what? I get that. Yeah, I do get that. Folks, you're listening to Montgomery Mosaic on 1450 WOL, which is our talk radio station. My name is Deborah Milo, and I'm happy to have Christina Fry and Betsy McGuire. I'm so sorry. I have not had coffee this morning. I only had a cup of tea. But we're just talking about the wonderful New Americans Expo that's going to take place on the 23rd of October, and it's going to be held in the Silver Spring Civic Building from 12 to 6, and that's located at the One Veterans Plaza in Silver Spring. Just to give you a quick shout out, don't be left out. Learn what you need to succeed in this country is what the flyer says. It's going to be an informative fair, discussion panels. There's going to be more than 90 exhibitors. Government agencies are going to be there to talk to folks, to give them keen information about what they need about, how to get a lawyer. There's going to be attorneys there. There's going to be nonprofits, local businesses. There's even going to be health screenings. There's going to be crafts and dancers and music. And yes, there will be food.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're going to have delicious food.
Right. We're going to have delicious food.
And friends, it's free, completely free for all family. Bring your children, bring your uncle, your auntie, your grandparents, everybody. All family. Everybody has to come and show and say it, because we're going to have Indian dancers, Mexican dancers, Bolivian dancers, African American singers. I mean, the entire community is going to be here. Mr. Ileg is going to be here, the executive of our county.
Yes.
Yeah, Nancy Florin.
Yay.
A lot of people who work for us and who represent us are going to be here too. So check this out.
Folks, you heard it. Do check it out. And before we go, can you share the website?
Oh, sure. The website is www.newamericans.expo.com.
Okay, folks, you heard it. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us today. I really appreciate it. And county friends, I want to encourage you to attend the New Americans Expo on October 23rd at the Civic Building in Silver Spring. I'd like to thank our guests, Christina. I'm just going to say Christina and Betsy, because you have truly become good friends, for spending time with us today. And as always, listeners, you're the reason we do what we do. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing your time. Now, don't forget to tune in again next month for another Montgomery Mosaic on 1450 WOL, WPRS HD2, and of course, worldwide on WOLDCnews.com. Till next time, be a good neighbor and make it a great day.
Listening to Montgomery Mosaic, featuring topics of interest to Montgomery County residents, businesses, and visitors. For more information or a copy of the show, email public information at montgomerymd.gov or call 240-777-6507. Be sure to tune in at this time on the second Wednesday every month for Montgomery Mosaic on 1450 WOL, WPRS, HD2, and worldwide on WOLDCnews.com.